2008 Mayo by-election. The 2008 Mayo by-election was held for the Australian House of Representatives seat of Mayo, located in Adelaide, South Australia, on 6 September 2008, following the retirement of Liberal Party MP and former Liberal leader Alexander Downer. The by-election was held on the same day as the Lyne by-election and the Western Australian state election. The writ for the by-election was issued for August, with the rolls closing on 8 August. Candidate nominations closed on 14 August. The by-election was contested on the same boundaries drawn for Mayo at the 2007 federal election. The seat was won by Jamie Briggs of the Liberal Party on a two-candidate preferred vote of 53% against the Greens. Background: Downer first won the seat of Mayo at its creation at the 1984 federal election. He retained the seat at each subsequent election. The 2007 Liberal two-party preferred vote of 57.1% was at the time the narrowest in the seat's history. Except for 1998, the seat was won at each election by the Liberals on primary votes alone. Despite this, the Australian Democrats and Independents have traditionally polled well, including 2 elections where the Democrats and Independent Brian Deegan came second. At the 1998 election, the Democrats reduced the Mayo Liberal margin to just 1.7%. At the 2007 federal election, Downer retained his seat against his main Labour Party competitor by a two-party preferred vote of 57.6% to 42.94%. However, the opposition Labour Party defeated the incumbent Liberal National Coalition government, the first change of government in over 11 years. Downer had served as foreign minister throughout the duration of the previous government. He was also Liberal leader and leader of the opposition for several months in 1994. On 3 July 2008, Downer announced his intention to resign his seat. He officially resigned from Parliament on 14 July. He, with Mark Vaile and Lyne, became the next. Former Howard government ministers returned at the 2007 election to resign their seats. Peter McGauran had done likewise earlier in 2008. Candidates: 11 candidates contested the by-election. They are listed below in ballot order. Australian Greens Linton Vano, Adelaide Hills resident, School Services Officer. Conservatives for Climate and Environment Rachel Barons. Independent Bill Spragg, Adelaide Hills councillor and lecturer in Information Technology at TAFE SA, who had also contested Mayo in 2001. One Nation Matthew Keyser, Adelaide Hills resident and domestic community support worker. Independent Mary Brewerton, retired nurse, contested Mayo for Labour in 2007. Australian Democrats Andrew Castreek, Adelaide Hills resident, school laboratory technician. Liberal Party of Australia Jamie Briggs, former Howard government advisors. Independent Malcolm Ronald King, retired. Family First Party Bob Day, businessman and former Liberal Party member. Democratic Labour Party David McCabe, clerk. Independent Di Bell, anthropologist and author. South Australian Independent Senator Nixon often gave support to Bell's campaign. Labour opted not to stand a candidate. Liberal pre-selection. The candidature of Liberal Jamie Briggs was criticised because of his role in controversial industrial relations policies and reports that some Liberal Party colleagues were unhappy with his pre-selection. Bob Day, who had held membership of the Liberal Party for 20 years and was the endorsed Liberal candidate for Mackin in 2007, quit the party after failing to win Mayo pre-selection with 10 out of 271 votes, claiming a manipulated pre-selection process. Ian Evans, who came second to Briggs, agreed to some extent. Results: the Liberals retained the seat despite a reduced 41.3% primary vote after suffering a 9.8% primary swing. Some commentators drew comparisons between this and the 2002 Cunningham by-election. The Liberal two-candidate vote of 53% against Greens candidate Linton Vano compared to the previous election vote of 57.1% against Labour, which turned Mayo from a fairly safe seat into a marginal two-candidate seat. The reduction of 4% cannot be considered a two-party/candidate preferred swing when a major party is absent. Preference flows to both major parties does not take place, resulting in asymmetric preference flows. 2016 outcome: